In this video, we're going to talk about solving ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, or solving the quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. You can derive the quadratic formula by completing the square on this little fellow right here. Most of us don't want to do that, so here's the formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. That's the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula, I'm making a couple notes on it. In general, it's slower than factoring. It takes more space. That said, most people think it's easier than completing the square. And some people say factoring. The big key is it solves everything, including the unfactorable. So it is a very powerful tool. So because of this, anytime you see something that you think is unfactorable, if you don't factor or you don't complete the square on it, or complete the square, or even use a quadratic formula, it will be wrong. So let's give one a try. Let's solve x squared plus 2x equals 5. Now, first thing I make note, we are solving, come back to the top here, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Does this equal 0? It does not. So before I can do complete quadratic formula, I have to set equals 0. So everything needs to be on one side and 0 on the other. So minus 5, x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. And then before I use quadratic formula, since I have to use a, b, and c, let's make a note. What are a, b, and c? Remember, a and b are before the x's. So for us, a is 1. So a is 1, b is 2, c is minus 5. Our formula, x equals minus b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All we got to do here is plug in. A is 1, b is 2, 3 is c. So minus b, so minus 2, plus or minus the square root 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, c, which is minus 5, all over 2 times 1. Now we're just simplifying. So minus 2 plus or minus square root 2 squared is 4. Well, let's look here. I have minus 4, positive 1, and then minus 5. So those two minuses here make a, turn those into pluses. So 4 times 5 is 20, all over 2 over 1. Or x equals minus 2 plus or minus square root of 24 all over 2. before we go on, we need to simplify everything as possible. So first thing I need to simplify is the square root. Is 24 a perfect square? No. If you're not sure what factors of 24 are perfect squares or not, play around with it. But after a little bit of playing around, you should come up with 24 is 4 times 6, and 4 is perfect square. So the square root of 4, right, is going to be a 2. The square root of 6 is 2 times 3, which is, neither of those are perfect squares, so they're going to stay in, all over 2. Now I'm ready to simplify this fraction. Remember, in a fraction, you can only divide out common factors between top and bottom. So yes, there are 2's on top, but remember, because that plus and minus middle, I don't have factors, so I have to take out a common factor. So in the first term, 2 is a common factor. In the second term, I have 2 square root of 6. 2, because it's on the outside, also is a common factor in the first 2. So I take out 2, which leaves me minus 1, plus or minus the square root of 6, all over 2. Now it's common factors. 2 divides into 2 one time, where x equals minus 1 plus or minus the square root of 6. All right. Let me know if you have a question on that one. And let's try another one. Try something a little more complex. So 3x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 0. Because it already equals 0, right? I don't need to move it around, so I can just go straight to what's a, b, and c. A is in front of x squared, so 3. B is in front of x, so minus 5. C is minus 3. X equals minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c all up to 2a. So note, the minus here and here, that's from the formula. And then b is minus 5, so it's going to bring its own minus, plus or minus the square root. B squared, so it's minus 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3. And c, which is also a 3, but it's minus this time. Divided by 2 times 3. Now I plugged in, just going to need to simplify. Minus and minus right here make pluses. Minus times minus here makes a plus. So 5 plus or minus the square root. 5 squared is 25, and minus makes a plus. So then 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36, all over 6. Or 5 plus or minus. Well, 36 and 25, that adds to 61, all over 6. If I could simplify the square root of 61, I would, but 61 is a prime number, so there it is. That's how to use the quadratic formula. Let me know if there are any questions.